So my company aims to try to address some of the agricultural sector's challenges directly through castor. So we see castor as a crop that is drought tolerant, pest tolerant, very capable of growing in marginal soils, which soils that have recently gone through massive crown fires where all of the vegetation is wiped out, similar to what you see here. Uh, those soils generally, once a good rain comes through, lose their topsoil layer. And so all of the plants that require lots of nutrients no longer can thrive in those areas, and that's a huge detriment to farmers. It means that they're using far more fertilizer than they were before. It means that their crops are struggling far more than they were before, and it also means that the local ecosystem to that area suffers as a result of increased fertilizer use, which then requires increased pesticide use to keep the undesirable weeds down, and all sorts of other repercussions of just the degradation of the ecosystem that happens when you have an invasive or a non-native species like these non-native grasses just wither and die and burn away and leave nothing but charred ground in their wake. Castor is able to grow on any marginal soil imaginable. Castor has been found growing on reclaimed land, land that was unsuitable for anything else, incredibly saline land. Castor has no problem growing in very salinated soils. It doesn't have a problem growing in very acidified soils, soils laden with heavy metals. It's not an issue. Castor is able to grow, and not just that, but castor is able to sequester a lot of those detrimental components of the soil and remove them from that soil so that further generations of crops can thrive again after the castor has been there for a few rotations and has helped to rejuvenate the soil along with some other crops. My company also sees a value in using a tri-crop strategy. So our strategy right now consists of castor, sorghum, and mixed legumes. And we're trying a number of different legumes. This year we tried pinto beans just because pinto beans are very common. They're grown across the United States. It's not really region specific where they're grown. And so pintos, just like other pod legumes, were just kind of a generic choice for us to try. Next year, we may not go with pintos. We may try peanut. We may try sunflower, which actually sunflower might be one of the best candidates since it does have taproot potential, which is what I'm leading to. The tri-crop strategy is designed to emphasize the biological potential of each of three different types of plants in such a way that minimizes human intervention. So sorghum, for example, sorghum has deep taproots that can go down, you know, dozens of feet if necessary in certain varieties to find water and to find nutrients, which those nutrients and that water is then brought up to the surface where plants like castor, if grown in a close proximity like we grow ours, castor with its broad, stretching, shallow roots is then able to pull some of those nutrients and pull some of that water away from the sorghum and draw it into its own resources. And then on top of those two, their interactions, the legumes, whether they're pintos or soybean or sunflower or peanut or any other legume, the legumes provide nitrogen to the soil, much needed nitrogen. That nitrogen gives the castor the material needed to grow rapidly, to stretch its roots out rapidly. It also provides nitrogen for the sorghum so that it can dig its taproots down into the ground more rapidly. And so all of those combined together result in a mutualistic symbiosis of these plants, which then almost eliminates the need for harsh pesticides because the castor itself is very pest resistant, and it tends to lend its pest resistance to plants within its immediate vicinity to a certain degree. It greatly reduces the amount of irrigation necessary, especially when using drought hardy varieties of sorghum and castor, and some drought hardy legume choices, which themselves already don't need much water. And then also, you cut down on the risk of erosion with deep taproot and broad reaching root systems combined. You're both locking in the soil at the surface, as well as locking in the soil beneath the surface. And so just all of them together have mutualistic benefits that you cannot get from conventional cropping alone.